People who are highly successful in business often know their direction early on. Not Chuck Barbo.
I grew up in the University District, and that's a whole lot different than it was. It was much more of a neighborhood district rather than a university district. I didn't grow up in a business background at all, and so I didn't really understand business, and so I didn't really know what I was going to be doing in my life, but I knew it was going to be interesting.
He didn't let that lack of certainty at an early age about his career, his future, get in his way or get him down. He was always confident in himself as a human being.
I grew up assuming success. I didn't know exactly what success meant, but I assumed it. And my parents were always encouraging. No matter what my grades were in school, I knew I was going to college. That was not something that would be discussed. But I found the university, the classes and the academics to be very, very challenging and very rewarding. I really enjoyed it. I was a history major, and I decided I was going to become a teacher. And I'm glad I did that. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the students a lot. And then I went to graduate school at the university in Latin American history. And I pretty soon found out that I didn't really have a future as a historian, as a professional historian. And then a friend of mine got a hold of me and said, I've got this golf course property that I'm going to sell lots during the summer. You're the best salesman I've ever seen. Do you want to come and help me sell them? And that summer I made more money than I'd make in 3 years of teaching. So a light went on. Here, there's another life. You know, I can have a life in business.
In 1993, Chuck founded a small company that would eventually become SureGuard Storage.
If you think about the fact that he was trained and educated as a high school history professor, for him to decide to leave a very known quantity in his life and making money after being newly married to then decide I'm going to go into real estate is quite a big jump.
I started the business in Olympia, and then shortly after that I took on a partner, Don Daniels, and we were doing all kinds of real estate things. When we got into the self-storage business and started that, it wasn't exactly something that people were excited about. Well, we built one and it worked, and we built a couple more and they worked, and then we kept building them.
Over the next 30 years, SureGuard grew to more than 600 properties in the U.S. and Europe.
One of the greatest things about working for a company like SureGuard was the quality and the depth of the culture.
Chuck perpetuated the bottom-up culture at SureGuard by building up people. Working at an organization that values the opinions and ideas of an employee is a dream come true, really.
It was a very open culture that really focused on customers. That's where the action is. I mean, we were in business to take care of customers' needs.
One of the things I admire most about Chuck as a successful entrepreneur is his ability to ride a wave, if you will, of a rapidly increasing, changing business over such a long period of time.
Well, my wife Linda is a huge importance to the success of the business. Having a great, stable relationship and a stable family situation is really, really important. If I'd been married to somebody that really needed me to be home at 6 o'clock for dinner every single night, I don't think I could have handled that. In the early 90s, when we became a public company, we decided to list our company on the New York Stock Exchange. And it was a very emotional decision. Linda and I were back there at the time, and we saw our symbol going across. SHU, SHU was a symbol of SureGuard. And we looked at each other and we started crying. I mean, we were both thinking of our parents and how proud they would have been of us at that moment.
It was an innovative company, and if you look back through the key developments in the storage industry that evolved over the first 30 years of its existence, you can point to any number of evolutions that really were driven by our company.
Chuck is successful because he believed in himself and he was able to get others to believe in him. I liked working for Chuck because I never knew what was going to happen next. He was always pushing the envelope, he was always wanting to try something new, he was always wanting to wrap up what we were doing and move on to the next thing.
You know, people occasionally say, boy, you were really lucky to get into the self-storage business. And I suppose I was, What I was really lucky about is being born in the United States. I guess the best advice that I could give the JA student tonight is talk to your grandparents. You know, your grandparents are wonderful people and they've lived a great life and they're not going to be around forever. And so now's the time to get to know them better. Learn their stories. Find out what their advice would be for you and your future business careers. And nice thing about grandparents is that they talk with you. They don't talk at you like parents sometimes do. So talk to your grandparents.
He knew if he believed in himself, he'd be a success. He was right. 2014 Laureate Chuck Barbo.